agencies.
Go back to Andrew Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for granting this urgent question, and thank you to the Minister for her response. The stark reality is that Britain can and must do more to rise to this horrific challenge. The inescapable facts are that the Taliban won and we lost, but we had previously promised that the military withdrawal would not be followed by economic and political withdrawal. Indeed, in 2010, when we announced the end of the combat role for British troops, we doubled aid and development spending from the UK, as we had promised. Now, while the £286 million pledged recently is extremely welcome, it is still not clear over what period it is all being spent and whether it is new and additional funding. It is, however, clear that it is not enough. The tremendous response to the Disaster and Emergency Committee's appeal for Afghanistan in December shows too that the British people do not think it is enough, as once again ordinary citizens across Britain have responded magnificently. The appalling reports from brave journalists like Christina Lamb cannot be read, Mr. Speaker, without tears of anguish at the plight of our fellow human beings, selling their daughters into early marriage to provide food for their families, parting with body organs to feed their family. This is not science fiction, Mr. Speaker. These are facts attested to by British journalists and charities working on the ground while the World Food Programme is trying desperately to feed 20 million starving people. Mr. Speaker, 90% of the people in Afghanistan do not have enough to eat. 5 million are living in camps. 4 million are just over the border in Iran. And they won't stay there, Mr. Speaker. They will be heading for Europe and for Britain before long. UN professionals have made clear that $4.4 billion is required, and typically fair burden sharing would mean the UK would agree to do around 10% of this. Mr. Speaker, why is the UK not hosting this important and welcome pledging conference in March? Before the Prime Minister decided, Mr. Speaker, to vaporise DFID, there were dedicated officials steeped in the practicalities, respected across the world, who were able to bring together the necessary technical skills, connections and experience to lead the international community to a better and more responsible place. As Britain's International Development Secretary, I spent half my time, Mr. Speaker, urging, pleading and cajoling my counterparts in the rich world to step up to the plate. Britain led and the international community followed. We need the same oomph, the same vigour from Britain today to make this happen. It's not just an appeal to our humanity, Mr. Speaker. It's firmly and completely in our own national interest.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, my right honourable friend is absolutely right about the generosity of the British people in responding to this very serious humanitarian crisis. It is a deeply tragic situation, but the UK government has also responded and shown leadership across the world. The £286 million that we have promised will be spent by the end of this financial year. It has been spent continually over this period and will be spent by the 31st of March. And that is the date at which the UN is going to be hosting their new donor conference, and the UK is absolutely supportive of this UN initiative. It is vital that all countries come together through the UN to step up to the marks. It's also thanks to UK leadership that the UK Security Council backed the resolution that we had suggested to enable the delivery of the urgently needed humanitarian aid whilst preserving sanctions against the leading Taliban figures. And that means that the humanitarian aid can continue to flow and won't be held back because of those sanctions. We're also working to encourage the World Bank, as I just said last month, to urgently repurpose the Afghanistan Reconstruction Trust Fund, which would unlock another $1.5 billion. And indeed, I had discussions with my officials on it just this morning.
Now come to the Shadow Foreign Secretary. David Lammy.
Mr.